Alright, so quick little disclaimer before I start this video. So usually to record my voiceovers and audio, I use Audacity, but today I'm using Logic Pro X. So if it sounds a little different, if it sounds a little better, hopefully that's the reason why. So now you know why. Let's just get into the video. So during the offseason, I made a prediction video for the Golden State Warriors, as some of you might know. And in that video, I felt I was pretty optimistic and high on a lot of their moves. I felt like I gave them a pretty favorable review. And, here we are, 33 games into the season at the time of this recording, right after like Christmas, the day after. 33 games into the season, and the Warriors have completely blown my expectations out the roof, and with the expectations of a lot of other people who follow basketball. So, I felt like it was time we have a discussion, regarding that prediction video and just how good the Golden State Warriors are right now. So in that video, I suggested the Warriors would be a team with home court advantage in the playoffs, and that was mainly based off their high-level defense that they displayed even last season. I believe they were a top 5 unit. No, they were definitely a top 5 unit last year. And some of the moves they made in the offseason to help address the spacing that, they desperately needed, so teams could no longer just double and triple team Steph without having to, pay for it. And I said in that video that the Warriors, if they're healthy, they should be a team that can make it to the Western Conference Finals. They compete even for a championship. And I said anything short of a second round playoff berth would be a complete failure. Of course, if they stayed healthy, and where they got Clay and James Wiseman back. But they don't have Clay. Yep, they don't have Wiseman back yet, and they are still the number 1 seed out in the Western Conference. And of course, the main reason why the Golden State Warriors have the number 1 seed out in the NBA is due to that ridiculously good defense. Draymond Green is having another Defensive Player of the Year caliber season as he spearheads the Golden State Warriors' first-ranked defense. He's not the only one having a great year on defense, as Andrew Wiggins has proven to be one of the best two-way wings in the NBA. Gary Payton Jr., a guy a lot of fans were upset made the team over Avery Bradley, has been great on the defensive side of the ball, especially rebounding too. A bunch of putback dunks. The one against Phoenix was incredible. All his lobs, high flying action, a great player. And people are finally starting to realize Steph Curry is not a bad defender. I would say he's closer to being a good defender than he is to being a good on-ball defender than he is to being a bad defender. I believe most of that reputation he earned as being a bad defender was from 2016, where he was hobbled and got cooked by Kyrie Irving. And everyone gets cooked by Kyrie Irving, so I don't really know how you can hold that against him. Of course, it's not just those individuals who are playing great defense, as Steve Kerr and Rod Adams and Mike Brown have had the whole team buying into the defensive system, as even guys like Witherspoon, who they literally just got off the street, played great defense in the Phoenix Suns game. And even Jonathan Kuminga, a developmental rookie, is playing very good defense. And he's actually trusted to guard star caliber players when he's inserted into the lineup. And, this is a guy who's not, consistently into the lineup. For him to get in there and say, yeah, go guard CP3, from full court, because we trust you to do that. It just speaks volume to the coaching staff and the way they got these guys to buy into their defense. Of course, Otto Porter also plays great defense. And the Warriors just have a lot of versatility defensively, as they have like 3, 4, 5 guys, who can play the center position for their defense. They obviously have that switch everything mindset. So it's gonna be very interesting, once they bring in James Wiseman, who's an actual shot blocker, a guy who can protect the rim, who's also very athletic too. If he can get some of those mental errors down, you see what he can bring to the table for their defense and overall their offense too. But like I said in that video, the other biggest issue surrounding the Warriors, the biggest issue, I should say, surrounding the Warriors was the lack of shooting and spacing and around Steph Curry and the bench play once Steph Curry went off the court. And man, have the Warriors fixed those issues. Bielitsa, a guy who, in that video I wasn't very high on. I thought he was just going to be, some 5-minute guy, occasionally a stretch big who could occasionally hit a 3. wasn't very sold on him being in the playoff rotation because of his defense, or I didn't really know where he was gonna fit in consistently on the squad. He's been absolutely huge for them. He's given them a true stretch big who can actually put the ball on the floor and he can hit open guys. He's exactly what the Warriors need from a center who gives them a great look. Kind of like Mo Buckets, but he has this passing ability now, and it's really, really beneficial for the Warriors. Otto Porter is exactly who the Warriors thought he was. Iggy looks revived and played great. He plays great defense when he's actually on the court, but it's clear the Warriors' biggest improvement came from within and their self-development. Jordan Poole was a guy who was arguably the worst player in basketball his rookie year. He did make good improvements his sophomore year. The Warriors, they did actually start winning once he was inserted into that lineup. But man, this year he's taken the next step and became a true secondary scoring option for a good team. He hasn't actually shot the ball incredibly well. He shoots at a league average rate, and he shoots 7 threes a game. So he does shoot the ball well, but it's really just been his ability to attack the basket. He finishes around the rim at an insane rate. He's more of a slasher than he is a shooter now, and that just shows the true strides he take into the game. Because if you watched him his rookie year, it was terrible. He looked like he did not belong anywhere near that league. But man, what the Warriors did with him is truly, truly special. Not just what the Warriors did with him, the work he put in himself to get better. I don't really think the Warriors, you could plan for that. You could account for that type of growth in a player. But he's not the only one who's improved. Like I said before, Andrew Wiggins having a really good season. This year he's shooting 42% from three, a career high. I think last season was his career high. He shot 38 or 37%, and before that was 36%. And he's shooting about 49% from the field overall. He's a far more efficient player than he ever was in Minnesota. I mean, that was the biggest knock on him. He would take a lot of dumb shots, a lot of bad shots, a lot of mid-range shots. Of course, his defense, he's truly one of the best two-way defenders in the league. A great perimeter guy, a guy who's really stepped into that Klay Thompson role very nicely. He gives him the vertical lob there as well. Of course, the only thing he's truly missing right now is his passing and playmaking ability. But Juan Toscano-Anderson, a guy who's been improving steadily, he's found himself a nice role for the Warriors. Type of Draymond Light type of situation. And of course, Gary Payton, who a lot of people probably did not know, he was also on the Warriors last season. He, of course, has made good strides. He's shooting the ball well this season too. And of course, his defense is insane. But that really brings me to this last point about the Warriors. And it goes back to the 2 seasons where the Warriors missed the playoffs. And a lot of people, they were questioning why the Warriors and Steve Kerr, why they refused to switch up their system to fit the talent of, on their roster. As, guys like Kelly Oubre, James Wiseman, Kent Bazemore, guys like that, they really couldn't fit into the system. They really didn't have the IQ. And it was costing the Warriors a lot of games because they were trying to run this really complex system with guys who just weren't high-thinking basketball players. And this is exactly the reason why. Steve Kerr and, Cole, they did not lose sight of what the true goal was. And that was to win a championship. They knew that, those 2 years, there was no chance they were going to win a championship. Those are not going to be teams that can compete with the top dogs. At best, you maybe go to the playoffs last year. You make, you make a competitive run. Maybe you lose in the second round. No, they knew that their best chance to win a championship would be now when Klay Thompson and such come back, and they had the star power. So instead of switching it up, switching up the system, they stayed pat, and kept that system in place, and it allowed for the emergence of their bench right now, which was once an extremely depleted group. All that losing and frustration allowed for guys like JTA, Damian Lee, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton II to get a better understanding of how to fit into this team once the big boys came back at full strength with, Draymond, Steph, and Klay. Which obviously, of course, brings us back to the main man himself. The whole reason this team can go around, the engine, Stephen Curry. He's having a pretty good, a really great season this year. I think his shooting percentages are a little bit down because of that whole slump, where the Warriors were just chasing that record and just having him shoot like any sort of three. But he's well on his way to winning another MVP. He is the front runner. Following up another great season that he had last year. It's really interesting right now with the Warriors. They are right now the favorite to win the Western Conference Finals and to probably win the championship. I'd say the three best teams in basketball right now are the Warriors, Suns, and the Milwaukee Bucks when they are fully healthy. The Nets are getting Kyrie Irving back, but I don't know how that whole arrangement's gonna work with him only playing like half the season and switching and alternating back and forth between him and Patty Mills. It's gonna be very difficult for their role players to have a role and find their rhythm when it's called constantly alternating. They still need some help in the front court as Paul Millsap's washed. Blake Griffin is god awful. Next, Claxton, he's okay. Probably never should have traded Jared Allen, but I guess they had to get James Harden. But it's gonna be very interesting, to see this Warriors team once they come back at full health with Klay Thompson and James Wiseman. That's the craziest part. They are the favorites right now, without two extremely talented basketball players. So, come playoff time, I assume next week when they come back, we'll get a better sense of just how great this Warriors team can be. And, I'll probably make another video on the Warriors once I get to fully establish their whole roster. This video was a little different. The past couple ones I did have a script. This one I wasn't really. Just kind of, going off the flow of what I was thinking and what I was saying. So, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe or comment. It really helps the channel grow so we can push out more content. And, hopefully you'll get the others to make some content. Hopefully, though. As always, this is Greg from The Scrubs, signing out. Peace.